Hi, this is Dr. Simone Phillips, and I figured I'd come on and have a talk with you all. There are a couple of exciting things happening in my business, Educating Youth Services, and the work that I do with children and their families. And I wanted to kind of bridge all of that's happening with just a little conversation. It centers around parenting. I'm not here to tell parents how they should parent their children, but I think I'm more interested in reflecting on how we all parent differently. In some of the work that I've been doing recently, I realized that parenting comes from experience, and a lot of it, especially the way that we respond to our children, I feel is centered around emotions. It depends on the day that we're having. It depends on the overwhelming amount of intensity that a child may exhibit a particular emotion. I call them big emotions. So our reactions and responses depend on the intensity of an emotion. It depends on our own past experiences, and it can also depend on what we're feeling in the moment. Like if we are stressed, right? And then our child is exhibiting this really big, overwhelming emotion that we are having difficulty managing. Like if they can't manage it and we're struggling to manage it, then it causes chaos. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the emotional parts of how parents are responding, in the sense that sometimes we can respond with a lot of different emotions. We can sometimes take on our children's emotions and be overly sensitive, right? When we're dealing with their emotions. Or sometimes we might be a little interested, right? Like we want to know more about what might be contributing to our child's emotions. So we go do our own research. Well, they were exhibiting a little bit of inflexibility. What could be contributing to that? So we go do our own research and try to find out why inflexible thinking might cause big emotions, right? So we're doing some research. So again, going back to being overly sensitive, being more of a researcher in trying to deal with our child's emotions. And then some parents might be very inflexible themselves and are focused only on the process, right? Or the rule for dealing with a particular behavior or emotion. So those parents are strictly by the book. Bedtime is at 8:30. It's 8:30 right now, so you have to go to bed. No questions asked. And then even with that parent doesn't really exhibit a lot of care or emotions. They're only focused on, they don't take into account the emotional component of it. They are only focused on doing what's right as far as the rules are concerned, okay? Then you have comfort parents who want to comfort their children. And so making sure that they aren't upset, or making sure that things go the correct way for their child, so that the child isn't feeling uncomfortable, or that they're not experiencing frustration or getting overly upset. So they only want to comfort their child, okay? And then finally, you have a parent who is like, I know the solution. I have the answer to the emotional problem. So they want to just solve the problem immediately to curb the emotion, or the big emotions, right? So they are solution seekers. They want to find the solution and solve the problem. Alrighty. And so those are five different types of emotional responses that you're going to get. Well, I would say those are 5 different responses you're going to get based on a parent's emotional patterns, okay? Because some of what I described isn't necessarily an emotion, it's just a response, right? And a particular behavior, a behavioral response, so to speak. And again, these behavioral responses are based on patterns that parents exhibit. And so the reason why I'm talking about those types of ways in which parents respond to their children's emotions is because I have been working on a guide that is going to help parents understand their emotional patterns, their behavioral and emotional patterns, and the way that they are responding to their children, and helping them to be more aware of how they're responding so that they can approach parenting and or I would say interacting with their children in a much more calm and mindful manner. Because if we were to look at it more specifically, a lot of what I talk about in the guide is reflective of mindful behaviors, being present, being calm, being more aware and reflective of how they're responding. So that particular guide is being created in order to help parents understand and to be aware of how they may be interacting with their children. Because the goal is to be calm, present, so that they can make better connections with their children. That's what the guide talks specifically about, those 3 areas: being calm, being present. Present also includes being aware, and then also making more connections with their children. So that is something that's going to be coming out. So stay tuned and follow this particular page so that you can get more updates. Alrighty? Thank you so much. I look forward to speaking with you soon, probably in the next week or so. Alrighty? Have a good one. Bye-bye.